Environmental groups want to be part of the review process for the proposed expansion of a coal mine in the Elk Valley in eastern BC. Dozens of groups from BC, Montana, and Idaho say they want an independent review panel to assess Elk Valley Resources' Fording River coal mine expansion. Now, if approved, this would extend the mine's operations by about 35 years and expand it into a new area. Wildside is one of the groups asking for an independent review. Simon Wiebe is the mining impacts and policy lead with Wildside and is with us this morning from Creston. Simon, good morning.
Good morning, Chris.
Could you just kind of summarize what the Fording River coal mine expansion proposal is?
Yeah, so the Fording River mine is one of 4 active coal mines in the Elk Valley. It's the biggest metallurgical coal mine in all of Canada, which means it's coal used for making steel. And they would like an extension. They want to go from around 10 years of life, which is what they're at now, to like you said, another 35 on top of that. Which is and to do that, they need another mountain. They need to knock down another mountain and scrape out the coal kind of thing. So they are looking to get a hold of Castle Mountain, which is just south of the mine.
Okay, and go ahead.
No, I mean, I was just going to say that. I think the headline that we started with was death by 1,000 demands. And I just want to say that the process that we're asking for here is not actually a new process. The Fording River extension is going to undergo an impact assessment by the federal government. We would like that to have some independent oversight. That's what we're asking for. And it's not even necessarily us, like the NGOs such as ourselves at Wildside. We don't have to be involved in that. We just want independent experts involved in the process, and they aren't being influenced by government and aren't being influenced by industry. That's what we're asking for.
Okay, and tell me more about that. Why do you think that government, which is the group that would normally review this, is not neutral, is not trustworthy to carry out a review?
Yes, it's really unfortunate. We would like this to be working differently, but as every conversation I have with the provincial government, with the federal government, it all comes down to, we need these mines to continue operating because we want the money, right? And it's clearly important, especially for the local economy in the Elk Valley. It's enormously reliant on these mines for their entire economy, or most of it. But there are other concerns that we really need to take into account. We're right in the middle of an enormous water quality crisis. Selenium continues to flow from these mines in enormous quantities not really seen elsewhere in the world, to be honest. And we are at the point where, we've known this is a problem since the 90s. These mines have been denying that it's a problem since then as well. But recently, they've actually built some water treatment facilities, and they appear to be working in improving water quality. Water quality is still pretty terrible. It'll be 35 times higher than what's safe for fish to live in, instead of, it would have been upwards of 50 before. So they've shown that they have a clear ability to clean up these messes, but it's still enormously high, and we're already talking about giving them another mountain. It just doesn't make sense.
How much, to that point about death by 1,000 demands, how much longer would it take this review to be done if there was an independent panel like you're suggesting? Do we know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the impact assessment, the joint impact and environmental assessment with the provincial government is, it's aiming at around 3 years, I believe. And I think the maximum allowable increase in that timeline from when an independent assessment or independent review panel, that we're suggesting would be 6 months. So it's likely to be even less than 6 months, on top of an already 3-year plus process. Okay.
Has the government done this before? Have there ever been independent review panels?
It's very uncommon. It's much more common for these governments to just put the government staff in charge of the impact assessments and kind of go from there. So it's something that's written within the legislation of the Impact Assessment Act and federally. So it is a possibility, but I'm not aware of any.
Now, part of the mandate of Wildside is to stop the approval of new coal mines. So is this calling for an independent review panel just another way of calling for the project to be halted altogether?
I mean, it definitely could be, and I think a lot of the environmental groups would be happier if that were to occur, but it wouldn't necessarily be the way. We're asking for independent oversight. We know that what's going to happen right now, it's extremely likely that this mine will be approved, which is good for many things, bad for many other things. But we would like independent oversight. That's all we're asking for. We know that the current situation it's almost certainly going to happen, but we would like additional. We have great concerns about water quality. We have great concerns about land usage. These things need to be addressed. We're in the middle of a crisis. I'll say it again. Yeah.
How much has the landscape changed since the Carney government came to office, given that they're pretty straightforward about wanting projects like this to be approved quickly? Has that changed how groups like yours think about timelines and advocacy?
Yeah, it definitely has changed. We've seen enormous shift in the past year or so from a lot of concern was being given to environmental concerns such as ours, and now we're seeing just recently all the money being sent to the trail smelter to increase capacity for all these new mines that they're hoping to build. New transmission lines to Northwest BC to access the gold mines up there, and they've clearly set the stage for increased mining and increased expansions of existing mines, as well as processing capacity. And that's something that we're really kind of struggling with. But we're hoping to continue to advocate for these things to be done responsibly, and because we do believe that there's a responsible way to do this, and we can minimize these impacts and hopefully eliminate a lot of impacts.
Simon, good to talk to you. Good luck with this. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks, Chris.
Bye-bye. That's Simon Wiebe, the Mining Impacts and Policy Lead with environmental group WildSite. We reached him this morning in Creston.